Please, you can unmute yourself, okay? You can unmute yourself and talk now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Doctor, for a very informative section.
Yeah,
I really gained a lot from your presentation.
You're welcome.
But I just have some questions to ask.
Okay.
Actually, you say you have a video on handling missing value.
Yeah.
So maybe I will go and check that. But I still want to ask. Now, when we remove missing values, maybe like columns, all those things like that, can it not introduce some biases into our model? And the other thing I want to ask is that when we are doing this feature reduction or like that, like in this particular project, research, 18 features were used actually. So considering like we are in Africa, like Nigeria now, maybe most people cannot even afford all those tests. So can the feature be reduced further? And even if they can afford, some of the hospitals, they lack the tools to actually carry out those tests. If you can have maybe like 5 features, maybe it might actually be better for us. I just want to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Barba, for the very nice questions, as usual. You see, yeah, for the first question, yeah, that is regarding the issue of missing value. You see, missing value treatment is not something we actually want to do, but we don't have option. We have to do it. You see, sometimes you cannot get data set that is absolutely okay to what you want to get. So once the data arrives, and then we find out that there are a lot of missing value. So it's part of the system. We have to try to do the missing value. Yeah. The issue is if we can get complete data from the source. Wow, this is the wonderful thing to do. Actually, in missing value treatment, let me go back to that, a little bit of just revision. As you said, it's good to visit the video. You see, in missing value treatment, there are several options. One of the best option, and is often recommended, is to go back to the source. Go back to the source. Go back to where this data came from and tell them, oh, this data is missing. Can you get me the correct one? This is the best method to solve missing value treatment, because also we don't want fake data, you see. However, in most cases, even if you get back to that particular place, one, they will tell you, we are sorry, the people who entered this data, they already retired, or they are no more there, and we cannot even trace the person who entered the data, because a lot of things could be responsible. Sometimes you see that even the age of someone is totally missing, and so many other very vital information might be missing from the data. So the best first way is to go back to the source of the data and get the correct thing and enter it into your data. In that case, you don't need to do any artificial data imputation. But in reality, you hardly have this solution working, because either you don't even know the source of the data. Even when you know the source, you go back there, they say, look, it took us several weeks to get this data out. How many data are we going to trace now? We're talking of having 453 attributes. After this 453, we have to remove those that had 30%. If the missing value is up to 30%, we remove them, and we are only able to have 18. We can imagine the number of attributes with missing values. It means super majority of the attributes, they contain a lot of over 30% missing value. You see, this is the idea. So once we don't have option, then we go to other method of treatment, like we find the mean. You see, we say, okay, yeah. The second method is to try to say, okay, we remove the column that are, once we cannot go back to replace, we go to the second method, which is to remove those with missing value above a threshold. You see, we set that threshold. Some people even see that 30% to be maybe too much. So they say you can make it 20%. If If you have 20%, you will remove few. When we notice that if we have to do that, maybe we are going to be left with maybe 2 features or something like that. So in that case, you have to select your threshold to make sure that you don't remove all the features totally. Now, so once we do that, that is removing the columns. Sometimes also we might need to remove rows. If we have samples, that's why you can see that a lot of thousands of samples, we were only able to have 152 samples. It means some samples has to go. We have a sample, maybe there's a patient here. Out of the 18 attributes we are finally selecting, he's still having like most of the attributes are missing. Maybe like 10 out of those 18 attributes, they are having missing value. Such patient could be asked to go. We can delete that kind of data to avoid having to work with fake data finally. So after we have done all this, we are left with 152 and then 18 attributes. So as for is it going to affect the prediction? Well, it depends. That is why we have to do a lot of testing and validation. We try to get other data set to also test to see that it's going to work. But it's a system that has been demonstrated. In fact, one of the research efforts that somebody who is interested might want to do is investigating the effect of missing value treatment. Missing value treatment method. You see, somebody might want to pick the same work, the work we are reporting now. That's why in machine learning, there are a lot of research work you can do. You see, we just need people. Someone might pick up the same work and then try to see, okay, because we have only used k-nearest neighbor to input the missing value. There are so many other missing value. We can just calculate the mean. Okay, we calculate the mean of if there's maybe there's an attribute x1. Any value that has missing value there, we calculate the mean of that column for those not missing, and we use it to replace the missing ones. This is one way. Sometimes we have the median. Sometimes we select the common value. So there are so many methods of treating missing value. We have only selected one. How are we sure that the one we have selected is the best? No one can say it's the best. That's why after this work has been published, someone might want to select a topic that I want to investigate the effect of missing value treatment on this particular research. So you now try to use different missing value treatments. Use the k-nearest neighbor, use the mean, use the median, and so many methods. And then you are going to see maybe there's another method that's going to work better. Presently, we're having 95%, 95% accuracy. That's the maximum we could get, which means there's still room for performance improvement. This is on missing value. So there's so much method of missing value. We have to compare and test which one is going to work for us. But because of time, research time is always bound. And that is one of the things you're going to recommend. You're going to take note, okay, we wish to also check other missing value treatment method. However, there's no time to that. We selected the one that maybe from literature, people used to recommend it because it's not possible for us to check all missing value treatment methods. It's not feasible. You're not going to finish the work. But in as much as we're getting something for the first time, getting 95% accuracy is something commendable. So your work can progress. You see, your work can progress appropriately. Hoping that in future, someone might not want to work on it to even just study the effect of missing value treatment only. That is going to be another research work entirely that will take a lot of time. Now, I believe much has been stated about that. Your second question is, the issue of excuse me. Yeah. So at the second question is the issue of feature selection. Thank you. Yeah. Actually, this is another room for research effort. Someone might want to pick this same work. Actually, there's a work going on that already. That 18 features. Finally, we got that 13 was the best for using support vector machine. Even though they're out there, we're going to see the result next week, inshallah. So we have for that use 6 features. But their result is lesser than that of support vector machine. That was why we settle for support vector machine as the best. But in medical, we want to reduce the number of features as much as possible. Like you say, yeah, I agree with you. Having to go and do 18 tests to come and check yourself for a machine learning algorithm to know if you are sick or not is huge. For some medical facility, maybe in the villages, it might be even financially, 18 tests is much. I so much agree with you. So that is why we need to investigate further. Can we do that feature selection? That's why another topic can come, that investigating the effect of feature selection. Then you can now try different feature selection, because there are so many feature selection methods that you can do. Just that you want to bring down the number of features, thereby making it accessible to majority of people in the community. Yeah, there's still room for improvement in this respect. And I hope I've answered your question in this sense. Now, yeah, there are other method of other methods. So second question, please, can you go ahead? That's Mr. Sorry, Mr. Usman. Walaikum salam.
Good day, doctor, and thank you for your presentation.
You are welcome.
Actually, I have two questions. The first is regarding the outlier detection.
Okay.
So after detecting the outlier, what do you do about it? Like, do you kind of maybe replace it or rather remove it? But removing it, I know, will cause a kind of imbalance in the data. So I want to know, like, what to do about that outlier after it's detected. And then secondly, it's regarding the SWOT analysis. So
regarding, can you speak? Can you be closer to your mic? Your voice is a little bit lower. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So I will. I think it's my headphone.
Yeah.
Am I clear now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So secondly, is regarding the SWOT analysis. At what platform, or I will say, at what stage do you conduct it?
Regarding which analysis? Come again.
The SWOT analysis.
Okay, SWOT analysis. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Regarding the SWOT analysis, at what platform, or rather at what stage do you conduct it?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So on the SWOT analysis, yeah, so there are different, you have it in Python environment, you have it also in weaker environment. So it's always good once you identify that your data is imbalanced, then you try to say, okay, how can I do this particular, how can we balance the data? Like I said, if the data is big, so undersampling is the best method. I mean, you try to reduce the one that is bigger. I have like 1,500 one side, 3,000 the other side. I can easily remove 1,005 from the majority, and then I have 1,005, 1,005, which is good. You see, in that case, you can go ahead with that undersampling. But sometimes if the data is imbalanced and the data sample is few, there are very few samples, in that case, you are kind of conditioned to go for oversampling. Try to increase the small size to meet up with the bigger size. And first and foremost, it's good to first of all do the experiment before the oversampling or any issue. This is the first thing. Before oversampling, undersampling, run your data, let the data speak. Because I've seen experiment before where there is imbalanced data. However, we were still able to get close to 99%. See if the result is not good. Not is what you have to improve. Then you go toward the SWOT. Yeah, it's not just by default. However, if the imbalance is high, for sure, you might not be able to get, because they're going to be a situation whereby the majority class will be predicted more than the minority class. And in this case that we're discussing, we're going to mention it again, maybe inshallah next week, because the negative class is more, which is the normal thing in the environment. We don't want people to be sick. So majority are not sick. Minority are usually sick, all things being equal. So in that case, we might need that particular SWOT. So first of all, run the original experiment using the original data, record your result. Then next one, you can then do SWOT and then move ahead to see how the result is improved. So I think that's it about your question. Excuse me, what's your first question, please? Hello, can you unmute yourself, please? You can talk.
The first question is regarding the outlier removal.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. The outlier removal, well, it's another thing we do. Outlier removal and missing value treatment, they're similar. However, outlier is more challenging. The challenge with outlier is to even know that it is an outlier. It's not easy. We discussed it in some of our previous videos also. You see, to even know that is it an outlier, you need to work. Because what is outlier in one feature? You have a feature with range of values. What is outlier in one feature might not be outlier in another feature. See, maybe you have the red blood cell count. The maximum is maybe 0 point something to like 0.9. You see, in that particular place, having 2 point something might be an outlier. But in age, if somebody is age, you have 2 years, 50 years, 70 years. 2 is an outlier here, but in another variable, it is not an outlier. That is why establishing that there's an outlier is more challenging than establishing missing value. So that is why identifying outlier is very challenging. Once you're able to identify it, we use things like box plot. That's a plot. You plot each variable. So you can use Excel for this. A lot of packages can be used. You see the data distribution. Each of the data will be close together. You see a partition here. You are going to see another data that is here on the edge. Then you know, be able to do that. No, this guy is far from the majority. Majority of the data set will be here to here. Anybody outside this particular range, then you know that no, this is going to be an outlier. And then if the samples are few, like you said, we have to keep it. We treat it. We are going to do outlier treatment. Of course, the best thing is to go back, as usual, the same method of missing value treatment, go back to the source to establish the correct value for this outlier, because it's possibilistic. But sometimes it's not possible. In most cases, it's not possible. So we go to the second stage, try to see that, okay, can we delete that particular attribute that has that outlier, or we delete the sample? You know, we have attribute like this, sample like this. Either you delete this sample that has that bad value, if you still have enough samples. However, if the sample is very small, then deleting is not an option. Then you have to treat it using methods of missing value treatment also. Like you can use the mean to replace it. You can use the median. You can use the k-nearest neighbor and so many other methods to do that. So it depends on the number of samples you are having. If you have so much samples, then deleting them is better than treating them. But going back to the source to get the original value is the best. Followed by delete row or delete the column appropriately, or you treat it if the number of samples are limited. Thank you. Now we have Mr. Tayo Olaoye. The question?
Assalamu alaikum, Prof. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much for the good presentation. I really appreciate your effort.
You're welcome.
Towards moving to the society. May God bless you, sir. My question is in form of a suggestion, actually.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do, I noticed something like the video you posted that we discussed today. It really assists. Like we downloading or go through it. It really assists in our next question, in our next class. So I wanted you to like, maybe we should be repeating this one so that it's going to be lightening the work. And again, it will give much time for the question and answer. At least this one is really assist. And again, to the community of participants here, it's going to be like a platform for encouraging the moderator or the prof, so that like when a video is posted on the YouTube, now you notice that just maybe 5 people feel it. It's going to be like, at least we have, most of the time we used to have like 145 participants on every class. So it's going to be like an encouragement. And again, the second part of it is that there is a insufficient building fund in Nigeria that they collapsed. So I want to say, if there are people that we can work, we can actually manage in. So if we can, based in Nigeria actually, so we can work on this using a machine learning method, like we have our questionnaire and some features. I want to see if there is anybody based in Nigeria as well. Is that they want to work on a Lagos? So maybe we can come together and write a paper on this. So I want to see anybody is interested on it. You should just come together on it. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the good suggestion. Just a clarification. You mentioned something that collapsed. Your voice was a little bit lower here. So
yeah, I said in that everybody can hear it on the news. There are insurgent building collapse in Nigeria.
Okay, so, yeah, building collapse. Yeah. Well, that's a very good one actually. And I think I'm going to talk to our admin to actually we have groups actually in our forum here whereby people who have grouping engineers that are ready to collaborate and work together. Yeah, I believe these are some of the things we want people to think about. How can we really support our society with this kind of thing? Yeah. So why do we allow the collapse to come take place in the first instance with a lot of potential, loss of lives, and so many other things? Can we even estimate or predict ab initio that a building might suffer from collapse if some things are not put in place earlier enough? So which I call preemptive also. You see, we need to prevent rather than try to solve the problem. Yeah, I agree with you. So they are going to again post the group that to some group who are interested in each area. We announce it again. We did that before the summer training that a lot of people again join. So people who are interested can join each of these particular categories, and then we can try to see how it works. However, like I always say, think about it, document it. If you need support or consultation, feel free to engage us and contact us. We'll be there to at least see how we can facilitate and make things work. And we can also help you announce for people who might be interested in joining those groups to also work together towards making life, or at least protecting life and properties. Thank you very much. So for your first suggestion, I was listening to the main point. Can you also reiterate again? Sorry, I missed it. The first point was about mentioning videos.
Yeah, it's about the video posted on the YouTube. I said it really assists in the next class, at least is the one that you explained today. So I want to see if this something like this we can adopt this method. Like our next class, maybe what we wanted to discuss there, we first of all put the video, like it's going to introduce the participants into it. We are going to go through it. And again, it's going to assist the
no, it's clear. It's clear. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Noted. So I think those are the questions we have for the day. Mr. Ezekiel.
Hello.
Hello, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for the presentation, sir.
You're welcome.
Raising up my hands, I wanted to ask just 2 questions, although one of it you have actually answered concerning smooth.
Okay.
But I want to know if is there a way by which we can have a particular percentage for our oversampling or undersampling? Okay. Or must it be 100% oversampling or 100% undersampling? That is one question. And the second question is, the data set that was used by the researcher, it's peculiar to Saudi or something. Is it also an open, can we get it from the internet so that we can make some other research, like you mentioned now, the effect of missing method or values, or the method that we can use to, detect missing values and whatever, so that we can also be able to think of some other area, concerning that data set. So if this data set is still available, how can we have access to it? So these are the 2 questions I want to ask.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, on the undersampling, the sampling method, there are so many methods of doing sampling or oversampling, undersampling method. Yeah, it depends on the method being used. Like I said, it's not something that we want to go for. We only go for it if you don't have option, because we want to deal with the original data, the raw data, which is going to be closer to the real world situation. However, when we don't have option, there are different methods. Some people like to do it actually The best way, the smart is just a method. There's so many other ways that we can actually undo the oversampling and undersampling method. It could be, okay, you need to repeat the particular. The idea is that, okay, if this data, is it possible for two people to have the same attributes? This is the idea of repeating. That is possible. Two people might come to the clinic. They might maybe exhibit similar trends. So that is why, okay, sometimes if we don't have data, we can repeat them 1 time, 2 times, it's still okay. So this is the idea behind this kind of thing. Okay, if you repeat it, sometimes also we can have real life data that 2 people share the same attributes in some columns. It's possible, by the way. Maybe they are from family member or something related, or by coincidence, they just share some attribute. So that is why a little bit of repetition of sample, but it will be better to repeat rather than select a particular few and repeat them many times. That could make the data to be biased. So repeat everybody 2 times for everybody, or only one time. Because when we talk of boosting example, there's another way that we can actually try to select data sets that are good. That we know these data sets, there are some samples that are good, clean samples. We can identify them using clustering, and then we can be able to repeat that, but that is going to make the data to be biased. You are training the system with set of identified data that are good. But there are situations that we might have to do that when we are developing boosting ensemble. We look at data set that the system is not able to recognize, and we repeat them more so that the system can recognize them by force. So it depends on the type of undersampling or oversampling we want to do, and that will determine the kind of percentage that we are going to use. Yeah. So.
All right. Thank you. The second question.
Yeah, the second question there regarding the data availability. Yeah, well, for this data set, the data set was gotten not long ago, so it's still under. There's some medical, what do you call it, agreement that need to be signed here and there. So it's not yet available online. Yeah, so it's not yet available for now online. However, for those who might be interested in working with it, then you can engage or you can contact us. Then we can see how the data could be discussed with the owner, and then we can possibly release it for such collaborative studies. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities to still work on in this kind of new data set. Yeah, but for now, it is not yet available publicly, but hopefully in future, they all become a public availability, but it has to be subject to the agreement and the approval of the owner of the data set. Thank you very much. So, but feel free to engage with us if the need arises or anyone who is interested in working in such particular kind of data set. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mrs. Adiat Arugundade.
Thank you, Prof. Salam alaikum. Jazakumullah khairan for the presentation. May Allah continue to expand you, to elevate you.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Mine is a more general question, coming from the aspect of engineering. Often we don't have lots of data, maybe as they do in social sciences and in medicine. Sometimes maybe you are trying to do modification, like in material science, you are trying to do modification of a material, and then you have maybe like 5 runs. So you may have like maybe 5 features or 10 features. When you have such very little, group of data, you just have like maybe 5 features, 10 features, but for each feature, you have just like 5 runs, 5 samples, Can you still use machine learning for this? Or you be limited to maybe just normal statistics, statistical analysis? Thank you.
Yeah, this one, we know about these challenges in the area of material sciences, engineering. This one of these, but still yet we have been able to do a couple of things there. So if you check out some of our work on our Google, Google Scholar site, you see we've done a lot of engineering sciences. However, these are places where it was, while working there, we detected that support vector machine was able to assist us a lot because the data set usually are fewer. We've worked with 16 samples, even less than that. So sometimes, yeah. So we are aware of this, and it is doable. But one thing I can suggest is, in addition to our data set, what people do is whatever we have, let's put it in an Excel, then we can be able to see if it's going to work or not. So we shouldn't assume it's not going to work. Even if you have only 5, then you can use leave one out. I describe how to do leave one out method of data partitioning. So you are going to use 4 for training, 1 for testing, another 4 for training, 1 for testing. Each of them will be in turn used for testing. We call it proof of concept, actually, because the data is not there. They will not ask you to manufacture the data. So it can work irrespective of the number of samples you have. Once you have it, let's put it on the Excel and then it's a file or prepare the data appropriately and then see how far it can go. Yeah. Another suggestion for people in this area is let's try to explore literature. In some of our earlier works related to material science, what we do is to go to literature and try to get free data set that people have published. The same work, they are not using machine learning. Of course, many people are not even aware of machine learning, by the way. But they did the experiment in their lab. They reported it. Maybe they use ANOVA or use some statistical method to do it. They do report it. So what one of my previous students did was to go to several papers, look at it, get those data from that paper, put it in Excel. Of course, it's going to cite it, it's going to mention it in a report. I got this data from so-so paper, 10 samples from this, 5 from this. We've noticed that after getting that, we were able to get like 49 samples from different sources because they were working on the same idea, but they never thought of using machine learning. So we collected the data, we used machine learning on them, we cited the appropriate paper, and the paper got published. So what I'm saying is, in addition to our own data, we can also look outside. People that are work earlier, they might not even ever think about using machine learning. Let's go and get their data from their own published paper, gather them together. If they are related, maybe after like out of 10 features, you have like 4 features that are common between you and them. We select those data, we work with it. This is another way to deal with lack of data set in the material science and engineering. Thank you very much. And if we have any issue, please let us feel free to engage with me. We see how we can provide further guide in that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I wonder if I could get the one you just mentioned now, the material, the journal that you published or the article.
Okay, yeah, inshallah, you can just engage me after the class. I will share you a copy of it, and I want to believe it should be online. Inshallah, I will identify that.
Thank you very much.
So I think that's all. Mr. Mohammed Balogun, are you raising your hand? You already answered your question, people? Mr. Mohammed Balogun.
I'm raising hand again.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I have to come.
No problem. That's good. You're welcome. So,
like Mr. Taye Olaoye or Engineer Taye Olaoye made mention of collaborating on something, and he said that there is a particular group for that. So I'm actually, because I'm from a civil engineering background, so I'm actually interested in that project that he mentioned.
Okay.
Then, although I'm not presently in Nigeria, but I don't know if that would be an hindrance to the. I think that should not be an hindrance to the collaboration.
You can collaborate in any part of the world. Yeah.
So also, you mentioned a Google site also that you can actually, that contains some of the research that you have published. Don't know if that link can be made available in the group.
Okay.
Then lastly, I just want to say that I don't know if it's possible for me to get like maybe like 10 minutes section with you, sir, to discuss some things. Actually, I'll be glad if that can be available.
Inshallah. That's thank you very much all for that. So you're always welcome. So on the collaboration, I'm going to engage the admin to help us to refloat the groups. We have groups we created actually on the research collaboration. People show interest. So someone who has a particular project at hand also can announce that, okay, I have also project, the admin will help you announce. People who are interested will join you in that project and see it through. So for the example, very unique example mentioned regarding building collapse, if people who have data sets that could be used, I believe this is a very wonderful way to contribute towards preventing such disaster in future. I see it's a very big social contribution that we can make in this respect. Yeah. So regarding I don't know if anybody, I'm going to try, I've tried, please feel free to engage with me. You have my number on the chat group. Just send me a kind of private message. So I'm going to try to get you the time for personal, kind of consultation or just discussion, whatever is the case. So feel free to get across, but a little bit, exercise a little bit of patience sometimes. If I don't respond quickly, feel free to mention it again with a reminder, because sometimes on social media, I'm not that very much present, but I will definitely respond to your message with a kind of reminder appropriately. So feel free to get across, and you are all welcome. Thank you very much. And for the link, so I will try to say, if anybody has the link, you can kindly share with the forum. So I think I've shared before. So otherwise, I'm going to share it shortly with us, and just hold on a little bit. I will share it with everybody here, so that you can see that you can check through the list of our Google Scholar and some of the work we did. Maybe it's related to your area. If you don't get those people online, feel free to get across to me. I'll provide. If it is free article, you can get anywhere. But some of them are not free article, and we cannot post it online because of the publication rules. So, but once you contact us, we'll provide those paper. We'll make it available for you for your own personal usage. So again, this essence of that kind of selling up the site, this kind of sitting is for people to have the opportunity to collaborate and also to consult. Please, if you have any issue, feel free to get across to us. We try as much as possible to provide the needed support within our reach. So thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Dr. Tajuddin. I think someone has provided the link to the Google Scholar. So you can just click the link. You see some of our works there. And then you can try to also see if there's anything related to what you have done, or if there's any paper there that interests you, you want to get the data and try it yourself, you are always welcome, actually. So we provide the data for you, especially if that data that's not under any protection law or whatever. Because we get some data they say, okay, it cannot be used for some number of years, maybe for companies. So, or if you are going to use it, you don't mention the name of the company. So we have this kind of situation sometimes. But feel free, contact us as the case may be. So once again, thank you all for the attendance. And then I wish us all the best. So hopefully till next week, say thank you all for coming.